Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and what is today? Monday. Yeah, today is Monday, December 13th. And so happy Monday to everybody who's watching from wherever you're watching. Shout out the name of your city. And if I see your city name, I will shout you back. I hope everybody's doing well. Hey, Phila, I think Phila Czar, how you doing? And Naomi, good to see you. And Mr. Swab 16, good to see you. All right, hello to everybody on Instagram as well. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. Even though I think that because I do this pro black thing, sometimes I get a little bit shadow banned. I guess saying the word black is bad. I'm not a radical. I'm not a terrorist. But then again, though, when you talk about black economics and black wealth, I do think that that is something that is considered to be a threat to national security. And if you don't understand why the black wealth builder will always be more dangerous than any thug on the street, the black wealth builder will always be more dangerous than anybody who just runs their mouth and does marching and praying, is because you're talking about solutions. Solutions are basically something that you don't always see a lot of. You see a lot of screaming and hollering and jumping and running and jumping up and down and yelling and all this other stuff. But really, at the end of the day, you got to have a solution in place. And so anyway, let me know. Hold on, let me hit this button here. Sorry. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, because I just hit a button on my mic. Let me mute myself and come back. All right, can you guys hear me? Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay, because sometimes I lose my audio. So can you guys hear me? Give me a yes and let me know if you can hear me. All right, so let me talk about what I wanted to discuss today. Today I wanted to talk about one of the reasons that black wealth kind of stays behind a little bit. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you are familiar with the racial wealth gap? Give me a yes or no if you are familiar with the racial wealth gap and if you've sort of followed this at all or talked about it. We talked about it before, but I know some of you are new. We get a few thousand new subscribers every month. So some of you may be new to the whole space, and I want to welcome you and introduce you to so a couple of concepts we discussed. And so the racial wealth gap is basically this gap between blacks and whites. It's not the income gap. You see, a lot of times they'll talk about the income gap as if that's really important. You know, black people make only 80% of what white people make, but that's not what matters really in the big picture of things. It does matter, but it doesn't matter as much as the bigger gap. The bigger gap is the wealth gap, and the wealth gap is massive. White wealth tends to be about 10 times higher than black wealth. Most of the wealth in America is controlled by whites. In fact, I think there are about 14 white people. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. There's about 14 white people literally who have more wealth than the entire black community. How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all knew that there's literally about 14 white people who have more wealth than all of black America like put together? How many of y'all know that? Well, that's a problem. That's a big issue. And I bring it up because a lot of times politicians get you caught up. They get you sucking on the crack pipe of symbolism. They get you focused on symbolism. And because you're focused on the symbolism, you're missing the substance. The real racism in America is not just things that might happen with police brutality, although that's a problem. It should be addressed. That's not the real, the biggest form of racism. The racism definitely isn't just white people not liking you or somebody cutting in line in front of you at the grocery store. I think I heard Michelle Obama give an example of racism and how it hurt her feelings when a white lady cut in front of her at the grocery store. I think Michelle Obama's smarter than that. I think she understands that really wasn't the best example that she could have came up with in that moment. The real racism is that if I go to downtown Chicago where I live, I'm going to see hundreds of buildings that are worth over $100 million each, 50, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, maybe $1 billion. None of those buildings, not one of those buildings, I guarantee you, is owned by a black person or a black family. None of them. None of them. You can find thousands of white families that own tons of assets, thousands, maybe 1 million acres of land. I mean, just so much land, so much property. Black people don't own any of that. Right. That's the real racism in America. And so if you want to know, when I feel America's really addressing racism, it'll be when they start sharing the resources. Anything short of that just really isn't relevant. Sure, they could take the knife out of your back, right, by cutting down on mass incarceration, which is a real problem. Drugs and mass incarceration were two of the worst things that happened to black people since slavery. When they started dumping drugs in your community, many of you, in fact, give me a yes or no, so we can make this clear. How many of you have had a family member go to prison, go to jail, or lose thousands of their family wealth given away to maybe a white attorney or to the courts because they were trying to fight a legal issue. How many of y'all have had this happen in your family? How many of you have had somebody traumatized because of drugs? Have maybe had a drug addict in your family? Maybe had somebody get killed over drugs, somebody get locked up over dope, right? Like this is the problem, right? This probably costs Black people maybe about $5 to $10 trillion. Right. So this is part of what adds to the wealth gap. And so sometimes people wonder, like, well, Dr. Boyce, if you are a finance professor, which my PhD is in finance, y'all know this, why would you be talking about all these other issues that are not related to money? And I said, no, it's all related to money. It's all related to money because you got to understand that growing wealth is no different from trying to grow a plant. Do you think I can grow a plant without taking time to analyze the soil in which that plant is being grown? Do you think I can ignore the soil? Give me a yes or no. Can I ignore the quality of the soil and say, oh, well, I can plant the same seed and it's going to grow because this is the seed that's supposed to grow? No, if I don't pay attention to the soil, that plant is going to die, right? Do you think that I can grow a plant? I went to visit a cannabis facility out in Nevada, and I remember that in the cannabis facility, they were real meticulous about making sure that every room had the proper amount of ventilation, every room had the proper temperature, right? That there were that all these extra externalities were kind of filtered out. So do you think I could grow a plant or grow a seed of anything without paying attention to the environment where that seed is being grown, the air quality? You think? I mean, can I grow a plant in a polluted space the same way I can grow a plant in a place with fresh air? No, I can't. Right? So can I grow a plant without oxygen? If I grow it on top of a mountain where the oxygen is very thin, will that grow the same as growing it in a place where the oxygen is very rich? No. So why do I make that point? Well, because one of the big problems you have in your community, the reason your wealth isn't growing the way it should is because you're growing in very bad soil. You have an environment that is sometimes very toxic for your ability to build wealth. When you're in a neighborhood where the children can't even learn because they're focused on not getting shot on the way to school, like you have in the west side and the south side of Chicago, well, that's not the most fertile soil to build prosperity because you're on low vibrational frequency. You're just in survival mode. Your child is 9 or 10 or 11, and they're not saying, "Gosh, I hope I can be president of the United States one day," or "I hope I can be a billionaire one day." They're saying, "Damn, I hope I don't die today," right? Which is another wealth drain because now that child, in order for them to be whole, they're going to spend a bunch of their money on therapy just to survive the PTSD that our children get exposed to on a daily basis. Over 1,000 people were murdered in Chicago this year. 1,000 people. I have to say this. It's crazy that I have to say this on my YouTube channel because mainstream media ain't talking about it because they got y'all focused on individual instances, individual situations, get you riled up over whatever the next police shooting is going to be. They're going to get you riled up over that. And you're going to forget about the 1,000 children that died in Chicago this year. You're not going to think about it. So, or the 1,000 people, excuse me, they weren't all children, but hundreds of them were. So here's the deal. When you talk about the racial wealth gap, you have to talk about it within the context of the environment. One thing that I know, and this is something that I wasn't even teaching this to my students when I was teaching on the faculty of Syracuse University, because even I, at that point, had not really been able to see the big picture in that way. At that time, I was just talking about stock market investments, return on equity, 401ks and all that. And we could talk about that. But now, the more I analyze the Black experience, the more I realize that there are some systems in place that you have to address and fix in order for you to build the wealth that you want to build and to close these racial wealth gaps. Now, do me a favor, if you haven't done it yet, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, on the YouTube channel, just so you know, it's subscribe only. If you are a subscriber, you can make a comment. If you're not a subscriber, you can't make a comment. I don't want outsiders coming and disrupting the movement that we're making and what we're trying to do. So if people don't want to be a part of the platform, then then we don't want them here. I want to talk to the people that really get it. All right. So with that said, one of the big issues that you have as well in terms of why the racial wealth gap won't close for you or why it's actually widening. I don't know if you've seen the study. Give me a yes or no if you've seen the study that says that Black wealth, median Black wealth, is expected to drop to zero by the year 2053. Anybody seen that? Median Black wealth is expected to drop to zero by 2053. Now, the way the story is presented is in completely the wrong way. They present this story, they present this narrative in the wrong, totally the wrong way. The way they present the narrative is these poor black people. Whoa, these lowly Negroes. Look at how bad it is for these poor, pathetic black people. They can't help but to meet their demise. They can't do nothing. They're like little children. They're like infants. They're like, that's why they got rappers called Lil this and Lil that and Baby this and Baby that. And they even got a rapper named Lil Baby, right? You got Lil this. Everybody want to be little and you want to be a baby. And babies, all a baby can do when a baby has a problem is cry. A baby can't solve a problem. I got a nephew who's 9 months old, and when he has a problem, what does he? Does he get up if he needs food? Does he get up and get in the car and turn the ignition and drive to the grocery store and buy him something to eat? No, he does what babies do. Where, right? He cries. He cries, hoping that his mama or his daddy will come and give him what he needs. Right? If he's cold or hot. Will he go and turn the AC down? Is he going to walk downstairs and fix the thermostat? Or is he going to do what babies do? Right? He's crying for his parents to come and help him. Well, for black people, unfortunately, because you've been put, and some of you put yourselves in this baby category, when you have a problem, we just whine about it. We cry. What, like the baby, you're looking for your parents to fix the problem. Who are your parents? White people are your parents. White people are your parents. You turn, and that's where you get all these individuals. I'm not making fun of them, but I admit I'm not inspired by it. But you get these people that become like anti-racist trainers who, and I'm not making fun of you. If you're in this category, please don't think I'm disrespecting you. But I just want to give you another point of view. So the anti-racist trainers. Like people like Kendu Isaacs, who, by the way, I respect him. He's cool. Actually, I found out I was actually in his book or something. He has a best-selling book, and I was actually toward the end. He mentioned me about something. So the respect is there, right? But I'm not a fan of any of that. You're never going to really see me embrace the idea of going to white people to train them how to be less racist, because I don't necessarily think that's where the solution lies. I don't think that the solution for Black wealth lies with simply getting white people to understand what they're doing to us, because I think that they're committed to the systems that are doing these things to us. It's not that they're bad. I don't think every white person wakes up trying to be bad or wakes up trying to be a racist. I don't believe that. I know I have white people on my street. They don't bother me. They're actually very nice people, right? So I'm not here to tell you every white man is a terrible person. I'm just here to tell you that the system is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with systems that do not work in your favor. And a white person may not necessarily dislike you, but he's committed to the system that sustains and helps build wealth for his family and for his community. So it's like if I come to you and I say, hey, look, what you're doing to me is pretty terrible. Can you stop it? And you say, yeah, I really care about you. I want you to do better. But this system, I need this system. I need this system in order for me and my family to eat. And if I got a choice between my family eating and his family eating, who do you think I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna take care of me. I'm gonna take care of my family, right? What your dilemma is that you have systems, and we talk about these systems every Wednesday night. We do book club. So if you go to boycewatkins.com and you look at the top, you can join the Dr. Boyce Book Club. We meet every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and we read Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. And in this book, Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson, he has copies at powernomics.com. You can hear about the origins of the very systems that create the racial wealth gaps. And also the problem that you have is that the systems benefit so many people at your expense, that those who are benefiting from the system, it's not going to be easy to get them to let go of those systems. I don't really need to go to 1,000 universities to convince white people to be nicer to me on the elevator. I just don't give a damn if you're nice to me on the elevator. That doesn't matter to me. I don't even know you. Why I need you to be nice to me for me to feel good about myself? I know how to be nice to myself. My wife is nice to me. My kids are nice to me. I don't need you to be nice to me, right? So this idea of training white people to just be better human beings is flawed, and it doesn't go in the right direction. What has to occur is is that Black people have to start thinking about our wealth and where that money is going, where those resources are going. Also think about your politics in terms of what things you will support and things you won't support. So from a political standpoint, you have to get away from the symbolism. You have to stop letting them buy you for 2 nickels and a butter biscuit. So you have to stop letting them tell you like, oh, well, we believe Black Lives Matter, and having that be enough for them to get your vote. You have to start asking for something tangible. You have to start asking for resources. You have to start not even asking, demanding resources. We want access to capital. We need these banks that are in our hoods to start loaning money to the people in those neighborhoods to buy those damn neighborhoods. Don't gentrify the neighborhood. That's why I have this black gentrification shirt on, which, by the way, if you go to allblacktees.com, that's where you can get a copy. Some of y'all are asking about the shirt. It's allblacktees.com. I have a bunch of smarter looking t-shirts just like this. So no, we don't we don't want your Starbucks and your dog parks and your Whole Foods and everything that comes with white people. No disrespect. We want to own this community. We want to gentrify ourselves. And if you get access to capital, you can do that. You have real estate developers in your own community who know a hell of a lot about real estate. Their number one problem is that they can't get the resources, they can't get the tax breaks they need, they can't get access to the capital that they need to go in, buy property, create jobs, things like that. That's what you need. That's what has to happen. That's what must occur to move forward. So if white people want to help, don't help me by telling me that Black Lives Matter. I know that my life matters. I don't need you to tell me that. I'm not looking for you to tell me that. My life didn't start mattering more just because you told me that it mattered. It mattered to me before the fact. Now, those other people who need you to tell them that their life matters for them to actually believe it, we'll work with them. We'll send them we got black therapists they can go talk to who can help them understand that their life had value even before they started talking about you on CNN or before white people started to acknowledge that. That is a mental illness. I hope you get what I'm saying. If you need a white person to tell you that Black Lives Matter, for you to believe that Black Life matters, then you have a mental illness. Just understand that you have a deficiency from childhood that was never fulfilled, where you somehow feel that you need the people who have unfortunately threatened your life the most to tell you that your life matters for you to actually believe that it does. Okay. The second thing is Black people need capital markets. Now, and by the way, before I move on, please take 1 second, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, by the way, some of you have asked about learning about things like Forex. We have a new Forex mastermind in the Black Business School. The masterminds are high level. It's for people that are very serious. It's very intense. Courtney Logan's teaching that. So the price point's higher than a typical program in the Black Business School, but there's a money back guarantee if you're not happy for any reason. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. Today's the last day to get the massive discount. They give a really good discount. He really worked with the students. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com, click the link if you want to dig into Forex training and how to invest in Forex and everything else. All right. So one other thing you have to do when you talk about the racial wealth gap, which is this gain wealth between whites and blacks, is that Black people need a capital market. Now, I talk about this in my new book. My new book coming out is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I don't talk about it much, but I've been working on it for a while. And so in the book, which is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I talk to you about what I call the 3 C's of building your own economy. Every Black family in America that loves each other has the capacity and the ability to have your own economy, not just have your own bank, which you can also do that, but not just have your own wealth, not just have your own resources, but literally create your own economy. And so one of the C's of the economy is a capital market. A capital market is basically just like a grocery store, just like when I go to the market. When my wife went to Kroger yesterday to get stuff for the Airbnb. We're staying in Atlanta for one more day. We're going out to the Black House. And basically she went to the market and there was a trade, right? She brought money and they gave her groceries, right? So a market is where anybody makes a trade. Like even when you go to the club, that's like a market. The men are there looking for the women are there looking for the men, and they get together and they do what lovers do, right? So markets are any place where people come together to trade. Well, in a capital market, you have investors who have capital that they want to get a return on. They say, hey, you know what, the bank is for suckers. I don't want to go down here and put my money in the bank because I'm only going to get 0.2% a return on my investment. But I want to go and I want to invest my money in a good Black owned business because 1, I can make a higher ROI, and 2, I can actually benefit my community and help create jobs. Well, here's the problem. Well, a market is like a seesaw, and on one side of the market, you have the capital market, you have the investors who are looking for a place to put their money. The other side, you have the people that are looking for investment. right? The people that are looking for capital. Like I have a business idea, I need an investor. I go to the capital market to find somebody to invest in my business. The problem is that you have an imbalanced market. You have millions of Black people who can use capital, who need capital. Like I want to get a house, I need a loan for a house. I want to start a business, I need a loan for a business, right? So you got millions of people that need capital, but not a lot of people that are actually providing the capital, right? And that comes from a couple of things, right? One, white people just have more capital than Black people do. Two, white banks don't loan money to Black people. They don't. They just make it much more difficult. The studies show this. Again, this is one of those things you talk about dealing with a disparity, or getting a politician to get me excited about them. Give me $100 billion in capital available for Black-owned businesses. That would actually make me say, not only will I vote for you, but I will endorse you if you guarantee me that this money is going to be coming, right? And so the other piece is the third reason why you don't have access to the capital is because this 1.4 trillion in Black spending power is being misused in a significant way, right? How many of you know? Give me a guess, just so make sure we're on the same page. How many of you are aware that Black people have 1.4 trillion in spending power? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Actually, while I Google something real quick. And then hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button, please. Okay. All right. So Black people have 1.4 trillion in spending power. Now, let me just let you, just so you can understand how massive that is. Do you understand that 1.4 trillion in spending power is slightly less than the GDP of Canada? So you literally damn near have as much money that you give away every year that Canada has in its entire gross domestic product. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. You're literally your 1.4 trillion is almost as high as the GDP of Canada. It exceeds the GDP. Pay attention now. I want y'all to listen. You have more Black spending power than the GDPs of let's see here: Australia, Mexico, Indonesia, the Netherlands, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Poland, Taiwan, Sweden, Belgium, Thailand, Argentina, Nigeria, Iran, Austria, United Arab Emirates, Norway, Ireland, Israel, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, South Africa, Denmark, Colombia, Bangladesh, Egypt, Chile. Do I need to keep going for you to get the point? Do I need to keep going for you to get the point? How about I keep going so you can get the point? Because some Negroes think some people still think we broke. Let's go. Let's keep going. Finland, Vietnam, Romania, Czech Republic, Portugal, Iraq, Peru, Greece, New Zealand, Qatar, Algeria, Hungary, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Kuwait, Morocco, Slovakia, Kenya, Ecuador, Puerto Rico, Ethiopia, Angola, Dominican Republic, and Sri Lanka. So you have more spending power in your community right now than the GDP of probably about 90% of the countries on this planet. You're almost at Canada. By the time I get done with y'all, by the time we get done with this revolution, we're gonna pass Canada. We will have more spending power than Canada has in GDP. And in fact, I don't even like using the word spending power because when you have resources like that, that's not spending power. That's not spending power. That is wealth building power. That is investing power. That is economic power. But economic power should not be spending power because there is no power in spending. There is no power in spending all your money. When you give all your money away, there's no power in that. When you have your money in your pocket, that's when you have the power. When you're growing your money, that's when you have the power. If you give your power away, if you spend it, then your power is gone. Anybody know the difference? Anybody in here know how good you felt? Remember that song, Just Got Paid? It's Friday night. Remember how good you felt when you just got paid and your pocket was full of money and it was full of potential, right? A lot of dreams out there that you could pursue, right? Personal and otherwise, right? And then when your pocket was empty after you spent all the money because you tricked it out, $10 here, $20 there. Next thing you know, your pocket's empty. Well, how do you feel then? Do you still feel as good as you felt when your pocket was full? Do you feel as powerful? Man, do you feel as macho when you got, you got 10 racks in the bank? Or did you feel a little stronger when you got 10 racks in the bank than you do when you have nothing in the bank? Do you understand? Right? So this is psychological. There is a psychology behind maintaining the power of your wealth. Literally, there are studies that show that men are more masculine. They feel stronger when they have their resources. When they're depleted of resources, a lot of them ain't ready to get married. A lot of them are a little more skittish, a little more nervous because you got to go beg. Yes, no, say yes, boss, no, boss, in order to get access to resources, right? So when they say money is power, That's really true. Money is power. Money is security. Women, ladies, do you feel a little more secure when the money's good, when there's plenty of money in the bank, right? When your man is handling his business, or do you feel, would you prefer that you are always on the brink of bankruptcy? Would you feel always feel good about being broke? Just yesterday, me and my wife did a pillow, which is a podcast we do, and we talked about Jasmine Guy from a different world and how she went bankrupt after her divorce. And one thing she said is, she said, money is security. She said, I didn't want all the fancy stuff. I just wanted to make sure me and my daughter were good. So there is an emotional connection between the preservation and the protection of your economic power. That is my point. So when people talk, when next time you see an article in any magazine where they talk about black spending power, I want you to correct that in your brain and say there is no power in spending. The 1.4 trillion is black investing power. That is where you get your capital market from. Your capital market comes from having as many black people looking to invest as you have black people looking for investors, like a seesaw. If you have a seesaw and you have a little tiny kid on one side and a big fat kid on the other, that seesaw ain't gonna work. Anybody ever try to get on the seesaw where there's nobody else on the other side of the seesaw? I'm sure everybody tried it at some point. How many of y'all tried it at least once when you were like maybe 4, and before you understood physics of seesaws, and you try to get on the seesaw, and there was nobody else on the seesaw, right? So you get on the seesaw and you're thinking like somehow you can make it go up even though nobody's on the other side. Well, it doesn't work that way. Well, capital markets are the same way. If everybody's on the same side of the seesaw will not work. If everybody's looking for capital and there are no people providing capital, then the seesaw is not going to work. It is not going to work. Okay. So with that being said, we must balance the seesaw. That means that in our community, we must understand that economics is culture, that wealth building is culture, wealth preservation, growth of wealth is culture. So culturally speaking, we must produce millions of children who are thinking about investing, who aren't just thinking about spending. I want you to think about this. Every time you see a rapper that does an Instagram video where his immature butt decides to show how he spent $300,000 on a car or $300,000 on a necklace or whatever, I want you to understand that is a lost opportunity. That is capital that could have been used to invest in black-owned businesses and create jobs for black people. That is money that could have been used to secure his family economically for 2 or 3 generations down the line. That is a lost opportunity to do a lot of good things for the world that weren't done because nobody ever educated him to understand that, look, brother, when you have that 300,000 in the bank, that is power, and you don't give your power away. That is also a $300,000 donation that we have made to white supremacy. That is a $300,000 donation we have made to white supremacy. So I want you to understand that when you are talking about black wealth and where black wealth is located and where it's coming from, then I want you to realize that you have a couple of problems. One, you're not getting the wealth you deserve. You're not getting the resources you deserve from society. We know this. 2, the resources that you receive are not being properly managed. And then 3, a lot of the management of those resources comes from the culture that you create. No differently from the way growing a flower requires you to understand the soil, to understand the air, to understand the conditions under which that growth is occurring. The same thing is true with wealth. Wealth grows just like a flower. And I'm not just saying this metaphorically. This is actually true. When I was in graduate school and we were learning high-level mathematical equations to process how stock prices are formed and how wealth grows over time and how compound interest works, I realized when I looked at the derivatives of the equations, if you go to the root of it all, actually those equations come right out of biology. They come right out of biology. Literally, the same equations they use to describe how a tree grows, how an animal grows, how a flower grows are exactly the equations that are used to describe how money grows. So ultimately, the same way you grow a flower, you must think about that when it comes to growing your wealth. You can't grow a flower if you're damaging it, putting it in bad soil, letting it sit out in the hot, dry sun, and not taking care of that flower, not watering that flower. If you're not watering the flower, if you're not protecting the flower, if you're not preserving the flower, keeping it in good soil and a good environment, it will not grow. The same thing is true with your wealth and your children. Your wealth will not grow if you do not address the environment under which that wealth is expected to grow. So if you're in a crack-infested neighborhood with a bunch of broken families where everybody's training their children to go get jobs and nobody wants to invest, and we're all celebrating every time we go spend $100,000 on Gucci or whatever, because we think that's lit, we think that's cool, that is very bad economic soil. nothing will grow in that soil. Your wealth will not grow. Your wealth will continue to drop because you have not addressed the underlying reasons why the flower will not grow. So it's deeper than just simply knowing how to plant a seed, right? That's easy. A financial advisor could tell you about 401ks and IRAs and investment projects and all that. But if you don't have the culture for wealth development, then you will not grow a damn thing. Economics is culture. If it is not in your culture, then your economics will not flourish. Period. We got till 10 o'clock. We got 15 more minutes, right?
Yeah, but I didn't know if you want to be downstairs or upstairs.
I'm gonna be down here. Yeah, I'm live. Yeah, I'm live. But I'm done the segment. All right. So anyway, my beautiful wife just came down, and when she comes down and talks to me, I always talk to her because I love her, and she's gorgeous. And when a beautiful black woman walks in the room, you got to do what she says. So that's just kind of how I am. I simp for my wife every day because she's the most lovely woman I ever met. All right. So anyway, let me go ahead and bounce out, but a couple of things. One, if you'd like to join the Forex program that we just started in the Black Business School, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. The link should be at the top. You can just click on it and you can join at a massive discount for today only. Today's the last day. There's a money back guarantee if you're not happy for any reason. So there's no risk to you at all. So don't think that we're here to just say, oh, yeah, pay this money. No, it's a great program. And if you're not happy for any reason, we can give you a refund. Two, the stock market investing class meets tomorrow. We meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you go to boycewatkins.com, you can see the stock market investing club there as well. And then three, if you want to know the name of the book, some of you were mentioning, it's coming out later on in the spring. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I've been working on this for a while, and I look forward to breaking this down. So yeah, you're right. I do simp for my wife. I don't care because I think one of the things I learned over time is, that wealth and power and everything is connected to family. And ultimately, the greatest honor that a black man can ever have is to lead a black family. That is, I've accomplished a lot. I have won awards. I have made millions of dollars. I have traveled around the world. I have had, I've had all the spoils that come with, success and everything in between, power, fame, all that crap. And the greatest honor, the most important thing I'll ever do in my life is to be the head of that family. And I just encourage brothers to just kind of hear that, because what's unfortunately true in our society is that they give a black man a message that is completely opposite of that. And I don't think white and Asian men are getting that message. That's why they're heading their families and they're happy about that. They feel like that's a condition for manhood. Whereas I think, again, for the black male, speaking of environment, you're encouraged to remain a little boy. You're encouraged to be immature. You're encouraged to be short-sighted in your thinking. You're not encouraged to think about any long-term legacy. And you see the evidence of this everywhere. That's why you got rappers that are dying at 40, 45 years old. From the previous generation, now the rappers are dying at 20. Now they're dying at 20. 200 rappers died this year. So this toxic culture, that's a death culture, 200 rappers, 200, that's 4 per week. 4 rappers die every week on average, at least in 2020. Right. So this death culture is what's being fed to you. And it's not just, again, talking about bad soil. Death culture creates very toxic soil for anything that you want to grow. You can't grow your children. You can't grow your love. You can't grow your power. You can't grow your wealth. You can't grow nothing in dead toxic soil. So you don't believe me if you disagree, if you think I'm tripping or I'm full of crap or I'm preaching. I want you to just look around you. I want you to look and see how many black people are dying. I want you to look at the old school rappers from the previous generation, the DMXs and others, how they're dying in a pile of what is honestly could be considered destitution and embarrassment. Family, no resources for the family, drug addictions, dying at 40 years old for things that probably shouldn't have killed you till you were 70. It's kind of sad, And then you look at younger guys now. It's the drugs, it's the violence, it's all that other stuff, right? And again, pay attention now. This is the culture that they are telling you is black culture. They're convincing you black culture is toxic culture. And that's because they don't want you to live. They want you to die. And if you read books like Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson, you will find that this is not new. This is not new. Like, this is something they've always wanted for you. But many people were not educated on history. So you think that this is a brand new thing. This ain't brand new. They've been killing black people for centuries. So stop letting them kill you. Give yourself life. And I find my life and my love through a beautiful black woman, and that's my sense of that's one of my great senses of power. One of the greatest accomplishments of my life. It's not just the woman, but the children we get to raise. It's a wonderful experience, and I just hope you might consider what I'm saying. All right. So anyway, I gotta go, guys. Again, BoyceWatkins.com is where you can go to find out about the Forex program, the stock market class, and all that stuff. Feel free to go take a look. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe before you go. I'll see you guys later. And by the way, on Instagram, just click the link in the bio, and that's where everything's at as well. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Be good. Peace.